The reason she stopped desiring you is not what you think it is. It is not your age. It is not your appearance. It is not that she found someone better. It is something you did or stopped doing that most men never identify because nobody told them what female desire actually runs on. What we're covering today are 7 specific reasons female desire fades in relationships, rooted in neuroscience, attraction psychology, and the specific mechanisms that either sustain or erode genuine desire over time. One of them involves something that feels like love, but functions as desire's most reliable killer. Another involves a quality that most men abandon gradually and unconsciously, and that women are acutely sensitive to losing. And the 7th, the climax, is the deepest truth about female desire that relationship psychology has ever documented. It will reframe everything. All 7. Let's go. Here is the honest premise. Desire in relationships does not simply fade because time passes. It fades for specific, identifiable, correctable reasons, and the men who understand those reasons, who can look honestly at what shifted and why, have something available to them that most men never access: the ability to genuinely rebuild what eroded, not through grand gestures or romantic performances, through understanding what actually sustains female desire and making the specific changes that matter. 7 reasons. Real psychology. Let's get into it. Bold claim. Female desire is fundamentally connected to admiration, and when admiration erodes, desire follows with a consistency that most men find genuinely shocking when they understand the mechanism. Here is the psychology. Research on female desire in long-term relationships, including Esther Perel's foundational work on erotic desire, consistently identifies one factor above almost all others as the primary sustainer of female attraction over time: the experience of her partner as someone she genuinely admires, not someone she loves, not someone she is comfortable with, someone she admires. There is a critical distinction here. Love and admiration are not the same thing. Love can exist, warm, genuine, stable, in the complete absence of admiration. And in that absence, desire tends to fade, not because the love is gone, because the specific ingredient that sustains desire, the experience of her partner as someone who genuinely impresses her, someone whose capabilities and character she finds remarkable, has been replaced by familiarity without continued growth. The man who stopped challenging himself, who settled into comfort and routine, who no longer has anything he is building, pursuing, or developing, who has, gradually and unconsciously, become fully predictable, loses the quality that desire depends on most. Scenario: a man named Kevin had been with his partner Sarah for 6 years. He was kind, reliable, genuinely loving, but somewhere in the 4th year he had stopped growing. The career ambition had quieted, the physical investment had reduced, the curiosity and aliveness that had characterized him early in the relationship had settled into comfortable routine. Sarah still loved him. She was no longer attracted to him. She described it to her therapist with visible guilt. "I don't find him impressive anymore. That sounds terrible, but it's the truth. He used to be going somewhere. Now he's just here." Kevin wasn't less lovable. He had become less admirable, and the difference cost them something neither had expected. What most men do wrong: they invest in the relationship rather than in themselves, believing that love and stability are what sustain desire. They are part of what sustains partnership. They are not what sustains desire. What actually works: continued investment in your own growth, purpose, and development, not for her, but as a genuine expression of the man you want to keep becoming. The desire follows the admiration. The admiration follows genuine, continued, visible becoming. Bold claim. One of the most counterintuitive truths in all of desire psychology is this: guaranteed, unconditional availability is one of the most reliable killers of desire available in long-term relationship, and most men create it believing it demonstrates love. Here is the neuroscience. Desire is neurologically linked to the dopamine system, specifically to the anticipation and pursuit mechanisms of the reward circuit. The dopamine system responds powerfully to variability and possibility. It quiets in the presence of certainty and guaranteed access. This is why the early stages of connection, characterized by uncertainty, anticipation, and the specific aliveness of not yet certain, produce such intense desire, and why that intensity often fades as the relationship becomes more secure. Security and desire operate on partially different neurological tracks. Security requires reliability and consistency. Desire requires some degree of mystery, autonomy, and the specific quality of a partner who is not entirely predictable. The man who becomes completely merged with the relationship, who has no independent life, no pursuits she is not part of, no domain of himself that remains somewhat separate and therefore somewhat interesting, removes the specific ingredient that desire needs to remain alive. Mini story. A woman named Diane had fallen for a man named Robert, partly because of his independence, his clear sense of his own life, the way he moved through the world as someone who had a world of his own. 3 years into the relationship, Robert had gradually made Diane the center of his world, beautiful in intention, suffocating in effect. "He used to be someone I pursued," she told her sister. "Now I feel like I can't breathe without him needing something from me. I love him, but I miss wanting him." Robert hadn't done anything wrong. He had done everything wrong by removing the specific qualities that desire required. Bold claim: when a man gradually surrenders direction in daily decisions, in the relationship's trajectory, in his own life, a woman often finds herself carrying more than her share of the relational and logistical weight. And desire cannot survive that imbalance. The psychology here is not about traditional gender roles. It is about energy and attraction. Female desire is sustained in significant part by the experience of a partner who is capable and directional, who takes genuine initiative, makes decisions with confidence, and carries his share of the weight of a shared life without requiring management. When that quality gradually diminishes, when the man who once led starts deferring, avoiding decisions, requiring more management and less capable of independent direction, the woman begins to experience herself as the more capable partner in the relationship. And you cannot desire someone you primarily experience as a responsibility. The shift is subtle. It happens over years. She starts making more decisions because it's easier than waiting for him to. She starts managing more logistics because otherwise they don't get managed. She starts mothering the relationship. And somewhere in that shift, the specific quality of him that sustained desire, the capable, directional, grounded quality, becomes less visible. Not because it disappeared, because it stopped being expressed. Bold claim: the experience of being continuously, specifically, deliberately chosen by a partner is one of the primary sustainers of female desire, and it is almost universally abandoned as relationships become established. Here is the psychology. Attachment research on long-term relationship satisfaction identifies felt appreciation, the ongoing, expressed, specific experience of being valued by your partner, as one of the strongest predictors of relationship quality over time. Not loved, specifically valued. In early connection, this specific choosing is visible everywhere. The deliberate attention, the specific compliments that required genuine observation, the clear communication that she, specifically, particularly, out of all possible choices, is the one you want. Over time, this explicit choosing often becomes implicit, assumed. The relationship becomes the evidence of choosing, and the act of choosing, and the verbal and behavioral expression of deliberate, specific, ongoing selection gradually disappears. She stops feeling chosen. She starts feeling settled for, and desire cannot survive the experience of being settled for. Bold claim, in the vast majority of cases where female desire has faded in a relationship, the physical disconnection was not the cause. It was the symptom. The real cause was emotional disconnection that accumulated long before the physical absence was noticed. Here is the research. Emily Nagoski's work on female sexuality documents with extensive evidence that for the majority of women, physical desire is downstream of emotional safety and felt connection. It does not operate independently of the emotional relationship the way male desire more commonly does. When emotional disconnection accumulates, when she feels unseen, unheard, emotionally alone within the relationship, her physical desire responds accordingly, not as a conscious decision, as a neurological consequence of the emotional environment. The man who addresses the physical absence without addressing the emotional disconnection that produced it is treating a symptom while the cause continues to operate. She doesn't need romance. She needs genuine, sustained, emotionally present engagement. The sense that he is there, actually emotionally fully there, not just present in the same space. Bold claim, the gradual reduction of physical self-investment in a long-term relationship communicates something to a woman that most men never intend, but that she receives clearly, that her desire and the effort of remaining desirable to her is no longer worth the investment. This is not primarily about appearance. It is about what reduced self-investment communicates. When a man stops investing in his physical health, his grooming, his presentation, not to the extreme he maintained during courtship, but entirely, gradually, almost completely, he is communicating something with his behavior that his words never would. He is communicating, "You are no longer someone I am trying to attract, I already have you." The investment is no longer necessary. She receives that message, not consciously always, in her body. In the specific way desire responds to someone who is maintaining themselves versus someone who has stopped. Physical self-investment is not about vanity. It is about the ongoing communication that she is worth the effort, that the relationship is worth the effort, that you are someone who still cares about how you show up for yourself and for her. This is the truth reveal, the deepest psychological insight in this entire video. Bold claim, the most counterintuitive and most important truth about why female desire fades in relationships is this. She stopped desiring you not because you became a bad partner, but often because you became too good a partner in the wrong ways. You became what she needed, safe, reliable, manageable, and lost what she desired, the specific quality of someone slightly beyond her complete control. Here is the deepest truth that Esther Perel's research and decades of subsequent relationship psychology has documented. Desire requires a degree of otherness, of mystery, of encountering your partner as someone who remains somewhat separate, somewhat autonomous, somewhat beyond your complete possession. Safety, the comfort of guaranteed presence, complete predictability, total emotional merger, is what we need for security. It is not what we need for desire. Desire reaches towards something slightly beyond reach, something not entirely certain, something that retains enough of its own character and independent existence to remain genuinely interesting. The man who fully subsumed himself into the relationship, who became entirely available, entirely predictable, entirely merged, created perfect security and unwittingly destroyed desire. He became home, and home, while essential, is not where desire lives. Mini story. A man named Thomas had given everything to his relationship with a woman named Claire. He was present, attentive, completely available, entirely reliable. He had made her the organizing principle of his existence. Claire loved him profoundly. She no longer desired him. She described it to her therapist in a way that cost her something to say. I love everything about him. I just don't feel that pull anymore. He's too safe, too certain. I know exactly what he'll say, what he'll do, what he needs. There's no mystery left. There's no version of him I haven't fully mapped. Thomas hadn't failed the relationship. He had given it everything. And in giving it everything, he had given away the specific quality of a person who has something of his own, who remains somewhat beyond complete access. That desire requires. The correction is not to love less, it is to remain more fully yourself, to maintain the specific autonomy, direction, and independent existence that makes you someone she is still reaching toward rather than someone she already completely possesses. Be her partner. Remain your own person. That is the balance desire actually requires. Here's the question I want to leave you with. Of these 7 reasons, stopped being admirable, became too available, stopped leading, stopped specifically choosing her, allowed emotional disconnection, reduced self-investment, and became safe instead of desired. Which one, if you're completely honest, most accurately describes what shifted in your relationship? Because the answer to that question is not a verdict, it is a direction. And direction is always the beginning of change. Drop in the comments. Which of these 7 reasons resonated most with something you've experienced from either side of it? I read every single one. And if today gave you a genuinely honest lens on something you've been looking at without fully seeing, subscribe. Every week we bring this level of psychological depth and honesty to the questions that actually matter. See you in the next one. The desire that faded can return, but only if you understand what actually took it.